Gather around, everybody. I'm here to tell y'all a story about a man named Ben, a man who will never self reflect. He thinks that he's always right and creates every plague just so he is the victim no matter the situation. What is he afraid of? His shortcomings coming to life. Shortcomings was directed by Randall Park, who's had various acting roles. Check out his IMDb page for the full listing. And this is his feature film debut. This is based on the graphic novel by Adrian Tommen, and he also wrote this movie. So obviously there's a lot of love and appreciation from the director and the writer for the source material. And Justin H. Min plays Ben, a man-child that is working at a movie theater that is honestly just about on its last legs. I mean, I used to see movie theaters like that. There were a couple nearby me. We had a twinplex down in my town that had seats that hadn't been renovated since the 1970s, and that theater closed down in, like, I think 98, 99. Nevertheless, he's kind of coasting through life. He has a best friend, Alice, played by Sherry Cola, who was in Joyride recently, and Sherry Cola's fantastic, fan-fucking-tastic, great comedic timing, just so witty, great improvisation skills. Justin H. Min, by the way, was in After Yang. He was great in that. After Yang didn't necessarily appeal to me, but he was great to see. Oh, hey, I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it. I mean, again, After Yang wasn't necessarily my favorite. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch it, but I remember thinking that the performances were good, but nevertheless, Justin H. Min showing that Ben really, as a man-child, just thinking he can coast through life, has a girlfriend, Miko, played by Ali Mackey, and she is beautiful. Good grief, she is beautiful. And they've been together for a while. She's rich, and she's successful. He's doing what he's doing. He's got his best friend, Alice, that has her own issues. I'm trying to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, because unless you've seen the trailer, and the trailers have not really been shown all that much. I saw a trailer for this a week ago, maybe, and decided, to hell with it. I'll go watch it, and I had a private screening, which is unfortunate because I'm hoping that movies like this at least achieve a little bit of success at the box office and find a new life on streaming, and directors like Randall Park, writers like Adrian Tommen, and actors like in this movie can get more chances to do, movies like this where really it's just about following people around, people that seem like they're real individuals, not characters. Fully formed people that have flaws, that have issues. There are chapter breaks and various things, flaws and other stuff. There's an overarching story about a movie, being watched in the beginning that ties in, that flows throughout the whole thing and kind of plays on how Ben really is just a full-on dick. I mean, he is. That's really just what I want to say right there. He thinks that he can have control over people and that he's always right, and doesn't want to admit that his shortcomings and his full-on being a dick and smug and just being just not nice, even though he pretends to be nice, he ends up always fucking shit up because he doesn't want to admit that he has some growing up to do. And that leads to something where Miko basically says, I'm taking an internship in New York. You can stay here for a while in this apartment. It's just going to be for a few months, and we'll just be on a bit of a break while that's going on. So that seems a little bit unusual, but okay. But they're having more arguments and everything because Ben doesn't really understand Miko. He pretends he does, but he really doesn't. And it's more of a relationship of convenience than anything else. Alice, meanwhile, is somebody that is LGBTQ, but her family's very strict. And because it's set in the Bay Area, and just because of certain things, everybody ends up migrating over to New York, essentially, where more stuff happens. And it's really just about growing. Ben never necessarily grows up or wants to grow up, and just has to realize, hey, I probably need to do some resets here. And there's some awkward relationship pieces and other stuff, and there's some really good acting from supporting characters like Autumn, played by Tabby Gavison. She's been in television, and she was in Scream Queens, I believe. Debbie Ryan, who plays Sasha, she, Debbie Ryan really had, some good scenes here. And Sonoya Mazzano, who was in Ex Machina, She comes in a little bit later on during the New York portion because it is set over in the Bay Area and then set in New York. And really, it just ends up being something where you follow these people on their journey. And whether they grow or whether they don't, they seem like real people. It seems like a real situation. And it seems like how people would actually act. And yes, sometimes the dialogue gets a little too wordy and a little bit too, I don't want to say grandiose, might be a hoity-toity, I guess, might be it. Not pretentious, because that implies that it's bad. But one thing that this movie is fucking terrific. I look forward to seeing what else Randall Park can do. Adrian Tomlin did a great job here. And Sherry Cola, praise to her. Praise be to her. Gotta check out more of her stuff. Joyride, this, Justin H. Min proving that he can be a good leading man for something like this. And the supporting characters are really good as well. And sure, not everything... I don't want to say there's anything that misses in this, but there are certain things that don't hit as hard, I think, as they planned. But is it something that's going to reinvent the wheel? No. Is it something that is quite good, that you can sink your teeth into, that you can enjoy, that you can watch, you can appreciate the acting, the writing, and the dialogue delivery? And in fact, there are a lot of awkward moments that made me go, ooh. Because it's just like, you didn't have to say that. You really didn't have to. It kind of reminds me of You Hurt My Feelings or Somewhere in Queens. I would put Shortcomings above those. All due respect to, the actors in those respective movies. But Shortcomings really ends up showing that everybody has shortcomings. Everybody has issues. And it just turns out to be really fucking terrific. And I encourage people to check this out. Unfortunately, I don't think this movie's going to end up doing that well in theaters. I hope it does. I can't imagine it costs too much. But I hope it makes a good profit and it finds a life on streaming, and if Randall Park gets a chance to do more stuff. The casting's terrific. Everybody plays their roles well. And at the center of it is Ben just not wanting to grow up, and Alice, Sherry Cola, just being terrific. She's so fucking terrific. Now, that being said, I'm going to get into spoilers. The spoilers will not take very long, just so you know. That's pretty much a warning right there. 3, 2, 1. Check it out in theaters. Spoilers. Okay, so Ben ends up kind of getting together after him and Miko's break, even though it's just a situation where she's just going for an internship, and Ben ends up kind of hooking up with a girl named Autumn that works at his movie theater. And this is before it's something where he doesn't hook up, but then he starts to hook up with her after Miko leaves, because he has a certain type, and that's another thing that's discussed. Miko finds porn on his computer. There's a lot of stuff about race and about, certain roles in relationships, certain races dating, and societal views, which is bullshit. If people find love, and as long as they're consenting adults, who really gives a shit? But Autumn is eccentric, let's just say that much. She takes pictures of her various urine, releases in toilets, because she likes to do experimental art and do experimental stuff in clubs with music. And Sasha comes along, and Alice basically tells her, you don't want to get with Sasha, because she's kind of one of those that's on the fence and stuff like that. And Debbie Ryan has a few good scenes, and it turns out she had a breakup. Her and Ben get together for a bit, but Ben kind of lets his colors be shown, his true colors, that is, in the sense that he kind of is just trying to use her to get over this whole thing. And then Sasha finds that her girlfriend that she was with is going to Ecuador. She's going to go with him. So pretty much everybody's leaving him. This probably should be an indicator, because Alice has decided she had Ben pretend to be her boyfriend, so her family wouldn't realize that she's gay, but her family obviously knew that, leading to some pretty funny scenes there. Alice decides to move over to New York, meets Meredith, played by Miss Mazzano. Ben decides to go over to New York, crash on their couch, and finds out that Miko actually is dating some guy, and that this had been going on for a bit, but that nothing happened until she had cleared up the situation with Ben. Now, to be fair, was Miko in the wrong? I mean, kinda and kinda not, because Ben was a dick that always wanted to control her and always wanted to be like that, and what ended up basically happening is he pushed her away. By not listening, by not understanding, by not growing up, by not basically being a decent human being, he pushed her away. She gave him every chance, he didn't take those chances, and she had to go. The relationship with Sasha didn't work out. The relationship with Autumn never really took off. And Ben just realizes that it's him. I mean, whether he does anything with this information or not is subject to debate. He can't get Miko back. He decides to leave her and her significant other alone. And he realizes that Alice is perfectly happy in New York with Meredith. So he decides to go back home in an apartment that he really probably isn't going to be able to live in anymore, because even though Miko probably doesn't want him to be out on the street, he's got to figure out what the hell he's going to do, and that's when it ends. It just ends with him sitting on a park bench, and that's pretty much it. And did Ben grow up? Did he not? Who the hell knows? I mean, his shortcomings were coming to life, and he didn't like it. Nobody likes to admit that they have shortcomings. Nobody likes to admit that they have flaws or it's their fault. Nobody likes to admit that stuff, but sometimes we all have to admit it. That being said, that was Shortcomings. Great casting, great writing, great directing. Doesn't reinvent the wheel, but is honestly very, very good. A+. I'm giving it an A+. Again, I just enjoy it. I just had a lot of fun. It's going to be one of my favorite films of the year. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rithlin. I'll see you soon.